Shalom. First, let's start off by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakatash. The belongs to teachers, elders, and apostles of great millstone, likewise, brothers, but on this truth. Faithfully, fearlessly, feeding the sheep, and dear brothers and sisters. Again, Shalom. Today's lesson is titled Evil Intentions, Section 740 of DC's Home Rule Act. And by now, many of you have probably seen the news in regards to what Donald J. Trump, aka Caesar Nero, has come out and spoke about what his intentions are out there in the DC area, which we know this is going to spread all across Great Babylon, America. This is basically the ground zero of these persecutions that the so-called white man is going to bring upon the children of Israel. But eventually this is actually going to go on the rest of these tribes here, starting with these Edomites. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 3, and starting verse 1, it reads, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance." So when you look at that, all of those are going to be attributed to everyone here in Great Babylon, America. On one hand, you're going to have those that are subjected to be killed, which is going to be our 2/3, along with these other tribes that are going to be in the mix of the chaos that's going to be taking place in Great Babylon, America. You're having a time to laugh, which is going to be the men of the Lord who are going to say, "We told you so." We told you so. We're actually going to laugh. That's the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, laughing to us at our people that refuse to listen and repent while they had the opportunity to. And a time to mourn. The people here of Great Babylon, America, the people in the world, starting with these Edomites, the ones that voted for Trump, MAGA, the proud, racist, oppressive, low-level Edomites, they're going to mourn as they see this wicked queendom fall into decay. Now I'm going to play this video concerning this, and it's about 2 minutes long, and you're going to see the hypocrisy. But not only that, you're going to see where a lot of the things that they're saying doesn't make any sense. Take a look at this video.
We've just been watching President Trump announcing a new plan to crack down on crime in Washington, D.C. The president says he's invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act and placing the D.C. Metro Police Department under federal control. He's also deploying the National Guard to, quote, help reestablish law, order, and public safety. Let's bring in ABC's Perry Russom, ABC News contributor, former FBI agent Brad Garrett, and senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez for more. So, Perry, what more can you tell us about how this is going to work?
Yeah, so President Trump declaring a public safety emergency in Washington, D.C., as you mentioned, invoking Section 740 of the Home Rule Act, which was established and approved by Congress in 1973, 1974 during the Nixon administration. Essentially, the Home Rule Act gives people in D.C. the ability to govern themselves by establishing a mayor as well as a D.C. council, which is pretty much a city council in any other city. But under that, under Section 40 is the emergency control of the police, where president can get control of the police. So that's what President Trump is doing. So right now, D.C. police is under the control of the federal government. Attorney General Pam Bondi, she is the one who is taking command of the police department for now. As for what this will look like, Trump's saying there's going to be an overwhelming police presence where they're going to be focusing on gang members as well as known drug dealers. Another section of all of this, as you mentioned, is Trump is now deploying the National Guard here in D.C., with Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth saying we should see a presence in the coming weeks, so just in a matter of days from now. Trump also saying he will use the military if needed. So before this news conference happened, President Trump signed 2 executive actions. The first one was him invoking his powers under Section 740, which gives the D.C. police under his control. Subsequently, letters were sent to Mayor Muriel Bowser here in D.C., as well as both chambers of Congress, because Congress, they're the ones who approve any legislation that D.C. is trying to get passed forward. The second thing he signed before the news conference today is a memorandum which directs the Secretary of Defense to deploy the National Guard in D.C. So the wheels are already in motion on all of this. This is all in the face of some statistics we are getting from Metropolitan Police here in Washington showing that crime is actually improving. Crime overall down 7% this year compared to last year. Violent crime is down 26% this year compared to last year. Then property crime is down 5% this year compared to last year. I also want to highlight some of the language that President Trump was using. He says he wants to rescue the nation's capital. He says it's overtaken by gangs. He says he wants to take our capital back, and that if our capital is dirty, then the entire country is dirty. He also mentioned other cities, Chicago, LA, Baltimore, New York, Oakland, saying we are not going to lose control of our cities. This will go further, saying we are starting very strongly in D.C. And Diane, protests have already started outside the White House.
Louis, what are Pentagon officials saying about...
And as you saw in that video, okay, he's going after, Los Angeles next, Oakland, Chicago. Now, the cities that he named in it happen to be the cities where you have most of so-called blacks, the Americans and Latinos, and particularly so-called blacks and Latinos that may be living in poverty, more likely to be on drugs, or more likely to be a part of the narcotic trades that's taking place on the streets of America. And so they're going after these cities that have a lot of our people, okay, so that they can do a lot of the heinous acts that they intend to do, and nobody's really going to watch. People can see the acts of these federal agents, in a small town or a medium-sized city, because it's rural versus a place that has a lot of skyscrapers and a lot of barrios and poor places, out of sight, out of mind. Okay, and the people of America, okay, including a lot of our own people, voted for this man. And we know that the Lord Yahweh Shemashai controls everything, but it's the mindset of the people who don't know what they're getting into. They don't understand the ways of the devil. This is 1 Esdras 4:37. It reads, "Wine is wicked, the king is wicked, women are wicked, all the children of men are wicked, and as such are all their wicked works. And there's no truth in them, in their unrighteousness also they shall perish." Now, there's a thing called conditioning, okay, and let's take a look at the word conditioning in the ordinary dictionary here. This is the online dictionary here. It says the process of training or accustoming a person or animal to behave in a certain way or to accept certain circumstances. Keep that in mind. Let me go into the next word here that I want you to keep in mind here. It's called desensitize. And when you take a look at it, it means having been made less sensitive. When you look down below, it says having been made less likely to feel shock or distress at scenes of cruelty or suffering by overexposure to such images. Now, who are these people that have been the object of Esau's wrath? It's none other than the Hebrew Israelites, so-called blacks and the Americans and Latino, and in particular, the Negro. Now, when you take a look at it, what he's talked about, okay, in his speech there, he said he's going after the drug dealers and the criminals and all the other stuff like that. And this plays a part in how they view us. When you take a look at how they have set this whole thing up, okay, they've set this whole thing up: joblessness, narcotic addiction, homelessness, destitute, okay, and you have the injustice system that has continuously used our people basically to train their centuries on how to beat down and abuse and murder people. And they've shown us over and over and over throughout the pictures that we find, in these articles with Jakes being hung, burned alive at stake while people are eating ice cream, and the jury system or their justice system just allow these people to walk away. So it has desensitized, okay, the tribes here. Even amongst our people don't even have any type of compassion on their own. Our people don't have any compassion. This is the reason why they side with the devil. Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man, not understanding that this man cannot be trusted. So society has been desensitized and also conditioned to accept the cruelty of this man, and this is why ground zero is going to be DC, and then they're going to spread it, and it's going to come to every town. Now the alarm is being, wrong by, certain Edomites, on these podcasts and other alternative news and stuff like that. Okay, which, they have a huge following too. But the majority of people really are hoping that what is being done is going to make their life better, and they're not looking at the cost of it. In fact, because of the curses, this was made possible. Okay, remember I opened up with Ecclesiastes 3 and starting with verse 1 where it says, to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens. So the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, is the one that made this possible. Okay, when you go to Deuteronomy 28 and let's go with verse 29 first. It says, and thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Okay, which this aligns great. Okay, when you take a look at the picture that I have up here with, the joblessness and the homelessness and the destitution of Jakes. Okay, you go to verse 45. It reads, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hast hearkened not unto the voice of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And then you go to verse 48, and it reads, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness and in want of all things. He shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Jake is destroyed, with the exception of the men of the Lord that are stand up in great boldness and have that glimmer of hope of salvation, that we're going to be saved, that we are not going to be consumed by this man. Our people are destroyed. Our people have been destroyed. Esau, you did it. You did it, white man. You did it. You destroyed the children of Israel. You did it. And now you get to live out your fantasy that you said, pursuant to Genesis 27 and 41, where you are now going to go for the kill. You're going for the kill. This is the beginning of that. This is that season, okay, or time to kill. This is where we're in right now. A time to kill. And there's going to be a time to mourn for a lot of people. Okay, let's go into Isaiah 19 and start in verse 1. However, we like to say this because if you go, let's say, before I bring out Isaiah 19, verse 1, let's go to 2nd Ezra 6 and verse 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man hear it, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, and the springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Rather than focusing on doing what the people are wanting, okay, this leader of theirs, who is being controlled by the elites, is focusing on persecution. There's no help. They're not looking to help. Okay? Society has been desensitized, okay, become emotionless, unempathetic, and conditioned to cruelty because they have consistently used the people that nobody gives a crap about. The low people, the people that are in the dungeon, us. Our lives are worth nothing here. Our lives are worth nothing here in Great Babylon, America, and they have desensitized all the other tribes, starting with these Edomites, that life is valueless, and that is going to come upon them when they least expect it. This is Isaiah 19:1. It reads, the burden of Egypt, which this place is known as spiritual Sodom in Egypt, Behold, the Lord Yahweh shall ride upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the isles of Egypt shall be moved out of his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst thereof. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, they shall fight everyone against his brothers, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. I put out videos, and other brothers put out videos concerning these sanctuary cities that, you know, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary said basically there's not going to be any safe haven, because they're really coming after us, okay, the people in the low places. And keep in mind, again, eventually, you know, the funding from the federal government is taken away from these places, these sanctuary cities or these sanctuary states. They're going to give it and say, well, we're not going to lose billions of dollars just to preserve the lives of so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Latinos. You can come and have them. We want our money, because this is really about making America great again. We want white people, so-called white people, okay, and the harmless tribes, you know, as they like to describe these other tribes, particularly the Asians, you know, to prosper. But we don't need these people anymore, okay? So they're going to turn on Jakes like that. They're going to give over to the cruel Lord Jake to be persecuted. But at the same time, the Lord has a trick, okay? He basically has a snare for them, because they understand, some of them, that they're going to be looking down the barrel of a gun at the end of a bullet that's coming towards them, rolled over by tanks possibly. They understand it. Why? Because the wicked understand the wicked. They know. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. It's going to be too late. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Bashim Shai. So this is what the Lord is going to give them. Okay? And it's not far-fetched, because when you go to Proverbs 21, and verse 12, it reads, the righteous man wisely considered the house of the wicked, but power overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. Whoso stoppeth his ear at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard. We've been living as Hebrew Israelites in a police state since we were brought here as slaves. But this whole place now is going to become a police state for all these other tribes, including you Edomites. You may laugh right now. You might not hear our cries. You may mock us. You might say, yeah, go get him, Trump. But this is not about us. This devil knows he has but a short time. And woe, what is that? Woe unto the inhabitants of earth and to the sea. He's coming with a wrath. All you people out there in this world, you're not covered by Yahweh Bashim Shai. You're not covered by the Mashiach. You're on your own. You are on your own. You will fight and kill for food and to survive, and for medicine. You will die of the pestilence, the diseases. You will be in those dog kennels, or those kennels and those internment camps that they built. That was for us. In fact, let's close over the book of Proverbs 26 and 27 says, whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. You people voted this man in for the sole purpose of persecuting the children of Israel. And whatever you hope that he would do to us, he will do to you people. Okay? And then the Mashiach will return, save his elect, and destroy this man, or destroy his kingdom and put him into slavery. That's how it's going to play out. Okay? So for right now, y'all might feel like y'all having a little bit of victory. The street's going to be clean. Okay? We're getting these bombs off the street. Okay? We're the ones that gave them the drugs and all that stuff. Keep them, you know, the gateway to them even ever prospering here. Our cruel Lord, which y'all don't think he's cruel, is going to clean up. But at the end of the day, the Lord is going to have y'all clashing against each other. Okay? And what was meant for us is going to come upon you. That's pursuant to Deuteronomy 30 and 7. You're going to get these persecutions and judgments too, starting now and also going into the kingdom, where you'll be subjected to slavery under the Hebrew Israelite. Lord willing, the elect was edified at the close by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai Ba'ashem, Rakadash, Shalom.